our third place match, another Protoss versus Protoss. One of them from Korea, and one of them from a little country called Germany. Please put your hands together for ReaL. And your compatriot fighting for a spot in the playoffs next month must win, alternate Socke. Are you guys ready? Good luck, have fun. I'm sending it over to Day 9 and Kalaris.
Thank you very much, Jarrett. Welcome to the casting booth here for not necessarily the Intel Extreme Masters, but the EPS third place match. My name's Kalaris.
And my name is Day 9, and a really weird situation that we find ourselves in where Socke, who has been trading the 1 and 2 spots with Hasuabs for as long as I can remember in EPS history, is now on the ropes in 9th place, needs top 8 to qualify. The way he can do that is by winning this 3rd, 4th place match. So weirdly, Hasuabs and Socke, who are friends, you know Hasuabs has to be rooting against Socke just a little bit here.
Yeah, that's very, very apparent. And I mean, during the entire qualification process in general, we saw that Socke initially missed 1 or 2 of the qualifiers because of things like MLG dates that actually occurred during the start of this summer season for the EPS. And then the ones that he was able to attend, he got knocked out a little bit earlier by some PvP. And I'm pretty sure, actually, that one of those times was, in fact, ReaL that he was knocked out by.
Yeah, ReaL has... I will say I was very disappointed by the series that we just saw ReaL play. Not just because the games overall were kind of from him as a player, but it's definitely below where his PvP usually lies. I like watching ReaL's Protoss vs. Protoss quite a bit. He's one of the players who is comfortable against wide varieties of unusual strategies like Phoenix play, like weird one-base Colossus push against fast Warp Prism play, has big comfort against those. His core tends to be good Blink Stalker control, which we weirdly saw foible in Game 1.
No, you're entirely right with that. He does like to get really aggressive with that Blink Stalker play. It helps him very, very nicely. And, you know, I mean, going on to Antigua Shipyard here for the first map, this map for a long, long time, and even I feel to this day, still has that really, really big Blink potential.
Yeah, I mean, this is the sort of map where it's super effective to exploit that front entrance, so much so that going for 4 gateways with Blink Observer is really strong. Oh, ReaL giving a wave to the camera. He's so adorable.
He is. And, yep, he was previously on the team type. Don't think he is right anymore, but still performing very, very strongly here during also the open bracket of the Intel Extreme Masters, only going out at the very end stages of it. Socke here. And again, he's been a hallmark of the German scene. Everybody here knows who Socke is. Everyone knows that he has been an absolute EPS beast. So as you rightly pointed out earlier, it's very interesting that we see him on the ropes here in order to be able to actually qualify through to that final tournament.
And of course, you see Socke and ReaL doing a little bit of joking in the game beforehand. And that's one thing that's really been prevalent in Socke's career throughout. He is just always comfortable and calm, even against the most insanely good players. I remember when he took out DRG at MLG's. Well, I'm really happy. I've been having a lot of problems in that matchup. I still have a lot of work to do. And it's almost like he's oblivious to how nervous he should be going up against someone that good. But right now, again, in this early morning hour, he has to win this series.
Yeah, and I mean, coming to Socke's like kind of play style in PvP, we saw him during tournaments like the WCS Germany Nationals, for example, really playing to his opponent in the sense that going into the final against Hasu, who he'd already previously lost to in that in the upper bracket, and then he made his way through the lower bracket to be able to come against Hasu again, had to win 2 best-of-3 series to be able to take that title. He actually started doing a lot of one-gate expanding to exploit his opponent.
Yeah, that was so cool to watch.
And then at the end of it, he just holds up this little piece of paper that says one-gate expand, because he knows how Hasu plays.
You know, I will admit that Socke has been playing in EPS for so long, has been playing in tournaments for so long, that most of his games tend to be in tournaments.
Yeah.
So often you get the laddering player who's trying to work out a build, trying to flesh that one out, and you get into that ladder mindset of trying to make your own play the best possible. But Socke is one of my favorites to watch because he's so comfortable with the idea of changing himself entirely to suit the opponent.
Yep. So, guys, let's get this first game on this third place match. As spawning up to the northern positions as our red Protoss. Give it up for ReaL.
And down in the bottom right, looking like a Viking from the heavens. The hero of German Protoss, along with Hasuabs, it is alternate attacks, Socke. The crowd either likes Socke or Vikings.
Yes.
We'll never know.
We shall never know. But for now, I mean, if anybody's going to be able to take out Socke here in this third place match, one of them definitely is ReaL. Again, when I've been watching these EPS Summer Cups leading up to the EPS final that we'll be casting at a later date, it's a case of ReaL has been able to power out very, very strong games against Socke in the past. Mostly they've been extremely, extremely aggressive against Socke, and he's just been caught off guard. Say, for example, if Socke was going for some kind of 3-gate kind of pressure kind of play, which then ReaL has been just saying, well, I'm going like a 4-gate, or I'm going like 4-gate blink, and it's just been able to catch him off.
ReaL's very much so that kind of player who, I don't want to describe it as doing all-in style builds, but he does build orders that put so much pressure. Oh my God, the Automaton 2000 blocked the pylon. Oh my God, the tasteless bot strikes again. But I'm just so shocked that the critter blocked the pylon. That's actually kind of funny. You can actually see the delay there up at the top. But yeah, ReaL likes to do these big blink plays, these aggressive robo plays, because it forces your opponent into a box. There's only so many strategies that can defend it, and as a result, you know, other than the free wins, you're against a predictable set of play.
Yeah, and I think it's also very important to note that here for the EPS, all the qualification processes, even if you finished first in one of those 32-man tournaments, then you didn't instantly guarantee yourself a position in the final of the EPS. It was all based on points, so you couldn't just turn up to one, win it, and say, hey, well, I'm done for the Cups for now. But even if it was that kind of format anyway, the EPS weekly Cups have massive, massive prize pools for weekly tournaments. It's like 600 or 700 euros, which for a weekly cup is amazing.
That's actually quite a lot. Maybe we should quit our jobs as casters and start shooting for those weekly cups. You know, I will say about that qualification process, it's so easy to have an amazing day if you're a good player, get a whole bunch of wins, get that win, but not to have that consistency.
Yeah.
And the EPS demands that there is that sort of consistency.
100%. As for now, we will have ReaL going for that robo, and meanwhile Chrono boosting Cybernetics core. Not much else going on here. Setting out that probe once again though. Was he going to throw down second gateway here? And recently in PvP we've actually been seeing more of a fluctuation towards, you know, Warp Prism aggression with just exclusive gateways. Something that we've been seeing a lot in, say, for example, GSLs, etc.
It's so awesome. I mean, I will say though, ReaL looks a lot like he's doing this kind of straight 2-gate robo play, which has gained a lot of popularity. Elfie claims that 4 gates of a specific style always beat it, and we saw him do that exact maneuver against Grubby, whom he narrowly defeated in their series. ReaL, wow, that's actually a little bit bold, going straight for that observer right off the bat. It looks like he's clearly feeling comfortable enough to do that observer first play. Socke is going to instantly push, and look at ReaL going straight for the robo.
This can sometimes be a little bit dicey, but as long as it keeps that sentry count high, if Socke was to actually put on some aggression, he would be fine and dandy. And meanwhile, though, Socke not really applying any aggression here. He's just poking forwards, keeping his opponent in a bit of a defensive stance. Well, we have the robo facility on the way here for Socke, and it looks like he might just be going for some kind of immortal expand. Oh, actually, no. Warping in a few more Stalkers.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect that Socke would throw down 2 gateways and just go straight for the 4-gate blink and try to out-micro this. That's most common way for Socke to open up, and of course most common way for Protoss is to sort of play it off.
And for now, that third gateway on the way here for Socke. So 3-gate robo with that blink. Going to be very, again, as we pointed out before this game even started, very, very common strategy to see on this map. And oh my god.
It won't be a Colossus push. It'll be the increasingly popular Speed Warp Prism play. I love this play. Oh, this is so cool to watch. Socke will be going for that quite quick 3rd gateway, but I'm a little surprised to see no 4th gateway up.
Well, again, it's something we pointed out the blink, and then we started talking about the Warp Prism play, and here we are. Not necessarily the same brand of Warp Prism play that we were talking about in terms of the gateways, but like, say, for example, double Immortals in Warp Prisms or anything like that can be absolutely devastating. But no, he's just going to use it for some aggression for when his opponent moves out to the middle of the map.
Now, this is confusing. Why is he moving the Warp Prism all the way down here completely alone? I mean, you can do some warp-ins, but this is going to be so vulnerable to Socke's style. I completely understand needing to leave behind a single Immortal, but I just don't understand this play of having this Warp Prism this far away. Wait, why are ReaL's units positioned so far back? I'm so confused, Kalaris.
Yeah, he's trying to kind of go down that blink forwards, I think, with that Observer, but it's not going to occur. Those units actually moving to the forward front position, but actually, Socke pulling back here. What has he seen? He saw an aggressive pylon, and he's off to go and kill that, I think.
Good play by Socke. It might be a little bit of misfortunate timing, and look at that Speed Warp Prism from ReaL. So uncommon to see Speed Warp Prisms in this matchup. With just Zealots in it, there's a blink under, and Socke is getting a nice target fire down. He will lose a single Zealot, and here comes all the rest of the Stalkers, and will they have enough time to blink? There's one.
Oh, the Stalkers were trying to get through to the Warp Prism, but they weren't able to. That speed providing them so much mobility against even the Blink Stalkers. So really nice save there. And ReaL is actually doing quite a considerable amount of damage with these Zealots.
That is an impressive play by ReaL, and we see a blink down. ReaL has found the money spot. It's like that spot on your back that you can't scratch or else it would break your shoulder blades trying to reach back there. It's where he fit the Warp Prism in, man.
And that's the most annoying spot of all here, especially for Socke right now. He is just trying to get to it as best he possibly can do. Spread his Stalkers in a bit too much of a clump there, so he won't be able to pick that off on its retreat. Meanwhile, we have ReaL moving into the middle of the map here, warping in down to the south in order to be able to bolster that force, and he looks like he's not going to be moving from that one base play too soon.
I mean, Sokke's in an unusual spot in that normally you'd have enough time to build another gateway, sometimes even 2, against that Speed Warp Prism play that we saw from ReaL, but not this time. With that drop, he was delayed so much. Now he's going to have to spend all his Chrono Boost on his gateways.
Socke doesn't have any guys in gas. He has like one guy in gas here, so fueling some kind of army is going to be so difficult here for Socke.
Oh, Sokke's just losing focus left and right. 1 Colossus out, 2 Colossus incoming for ReaL, and this drop again pops in for ReaL. He's going to try to instantly get out of the way, but God, great positioning once again by ReaL.
ReaL just stretching his opponent so terribly thinly. It's still 28 probes to 28 probes, so by no means is Socke down and out. But, you know, ReaL keeps evening the odds here. And the problem is for Socke is that ReaL, whilst evening the odds, has the higher tech ability. So he's going to be able to potentially push across the map here once this second Colossus comes out. Or as it already is out. Oh, this could get a bit scary if he doesn't get those great blinks.
I mean, ReaL does have a clear opportunity to just expand. He can expand. He already has the lead in Colossus production. He has the 2 Immortals up, so he can deal quite comfortably with Blink.
The Warp Prism's getting very dangerously low. He blinks forward and picks it off. Nice pick up there by Socke. Gonna try and micro back against these Zealots as well. Socke bringing it back, and again, with that double Nexus production, he's gonna have a better economy in just a little bit.
Now it looks like ReaL engaging at a very awkward angle.
Those Immortals were a little vulnerable there for a second, but he now pulls back.
ReaL's still not expanding. There's the blink forward. He will be able to take down 1 Colossus, but there are still 2 remaining.
Oh, really nice blink forwards there to be able to deal with that. Again, they were so vulnerable for so long, and Socke eventually realizing that, taking one down. Nicely done. Meanwhile, look at this. ReaL warping into more units down to the south again. Looks like he's trying to pincer this force in the middle of the map, but this blink past, he's going to try and use that mobility, try and run into his opponent's base. Oh, but ReaL, he was trying to block off the top of the round with pylons there for just a second.
Oh, and it looks like Socke going to pop up, try to pick off some probes, but no, a pylon wall greets it at the back. But a perfect play from Socke, an absolutely perfect Blink Stalker play. Will pop down to the low ground. What a magnificent move there by Socke. Bought himself all the time he needs to get up more Immortals, get up more Stalkers, and there, finally having the opportunity to add on those gateways 4 and 5. He needs a third geyser to be able to keep up his production.
And Socke is playing this blink play just, as you said, beautifully. It's really, really adamant. When you're going for that blink play, you need to keep your opponent dancing, especially when they have this much firepower. There's 2 Immortals and 2 Colossus here that, for all intents and purposes, could easily rip up the force of Socke in a direct engagement, but he's just doing a really, really good job keeping him pinned back with such few units.
Socke is in a really great spot, but ReaL's in kind of an unusual one. I mean, when you're going robo play, if you aren't attacking quite quickly, in other words, if you let Blink Stalker numbers get too high, then you suddenly can't attack. You can easily defend, making an expansion make total sense, but this has been an attack that ReaL's been trying to do for about 5 minutes, and he hasn't been able to do it due to this Blink Stalker play, and now Socke is delayed just long enough to get up the perfect composition. But gosh, ReaL has a lot of units out on the map right now.
Yeah, if somehow he can focus down on these Stalkers or the Colossus with those Immortals, that would be great for Socke here. But ReaL, with that Guardian Shield, he has a lot of negative firepower here from Socke. Nice force fields as well, separating those Immortals from the back, so he's able to get a few free shots off on those Zealots as well. And right now, Immortals shooting Immortals, that's not the best thing to be doing. But at the same time, he's getting so much DPS off on these Stalkers.
Socke is doing a great job getting his Immortals up to the front line. There's the blink under 1 Colossus, goes down. These 3 Immortals at the back, ripping up all the remaining units, and Socke, with an extremely close defense, will be able to prevail.
And with that defense, Socke, with that second Nexus still up, he is in the lead right now. ReaL, how does he transition from this? He's getting more Stalkers on the way here, but I don't know whether it's going to be enough against those 3 Immortals if Socke is able to micro them properly. It completely depends right now on ReaL's control, but again, to make that work, he needs Blink, and he doesn't really have it at this point.
Man, what a defense by Socke. He did lose some probes. He's still way in the lead at 33. In fact, he's in the lead in every regard. 34 army supply, 33 worker supply. And again, if ReaL had just expanded, ReaL would soon be at 5, 6 Colossus. He'd be approaching 8 Colossus as he went to maxed. And Socke wouldn't be able to do much about it. Socke would have overproduced Blink Stalkers, which is not exactly the unit you want in your maxed army composition. But now ReaL is against the ropes. Socke is producing Colossus of his own, and ReaL's really being punished for trying to be overly aggressive in this game.
With the Warp Prism Zealot aggression, Day9, do you feel that expanding off the back of it, if you're able to get the damage done, is the better option? Or how does that work, really? Oh, actually.
Well, Socke is advancing forward, straightforward Blink Micro. 3 Immortals there, absorbing any hits that need be. Socke will briefly pull back, it looks like, to help his Colossus get to the front. But, you know, like you were asking beforehand, I absolutely think that it's a good thing to expand behind. I mean, Warp Prisms in the back of the main, when are they most strong? When your opponent's army is in the wrong position, and you can do that harassment. That'll only happen if you're defending. If you're attacking, these Warp Prisms actually become weaker.
And for now, he will be able to get a few more probes with this second Warp Prism. Nice pickup there. Going to try and transfer that down to the natural as well. But there's a few Zealots already here for Socke. Meanwhile, his just unit composition in general is gathering such momentum. And right now, in terms of income tab, ReaL is completely mined out almost at his main. So Socke has so much income in comparison to his opponent. And once those gateways are able to be fueled once again, Socke is just in a phenomenal position in game number 1.
Socke is rocking it hard, man. He has just the right units at just the right time. I especially love that little roundabout ringaroo he did, distracting ReaL, putting ReaL into the wrong position. Immortals are a little bit out of position, but that is no big deal. Probes are in the perfect Colossus suicide formation.
They are indeed, as that one Colossus comes out.
Oh, man.
Oh, he spreads them. Nicely done. But that Colossus, is a probe going to die? Is Colossus going to die to probes?
Where are these Stalkers? It looks like the Immortals get cuddled by some probe force fields. The Colossus from Socke hops up onto the high ground. A little bit of a flub, but Socke has the bulk of his army hanging out behind, and will be able to blink down the rest of this army.
If a Colossus had died to probes, then I would have been a happy man. That would have been amazing. But no, Socke, with his great control, able to save that. GG, well played.
Socke gets a clean game against ReaL after it was kind of funny. ReaL kind of alternated between brilliance and folly.
The Warp Prism aggression was fantastic. It killed a lot of probes. He evened up the odds there, and if it had expanded behind that, especially behind that first poke in, it can be a little bit dicey because you don't know if you're actually going to be able to do that much damage. Of course, so was with ReaL's control, he was able to do so. But if you expand behind that first poke in, then by the time it comes to that 28-28 probe similarity, you've already got that expansion up, you're already pumping extra probes as well, whilst your opponent is rallying the defenses, trying to pump as much of their income into those units to be able to defend against that Warp Prism, as opposed to producing a lot of probes.
Yeah, you know, I will say I like Warp Prism play in this matchup quite a bit. The speed Warp Prism Zealot, kind of interesting. We don't really see that a lot. But if you are doing that, you have to commit. There was too much. I'm going to do a little bit of this, I'm going to do a little bit of that. I'm going to try to harass you, and then I'm going to attack. Well, it doesn't quite line up. I mean, if you're pushing your opponent down on economy, the best way to take advantage of that is economy. So expanding behind makes a lot of sense. Socke, even more so, had Blink Stalkers out in the middle of the map. You want to encourage them to stay out in the middle of the map to make that Warp Prism play work a little bit better. Expanding all lines up with that, but ReaL waited for so long. I mean, ReaL can maybe make that attack work, but you have to be going Immortal Sentry Zealot if you want to be doing a push. Waiting for the Colossus just ends up hindering you. It takes so long, and weirdly, force fields can be quite powerful against Blink Stalkers if you have enough of them. It means that they can never offensively blink in.
And I think one thing, I mean, to come back to is the fact that you're saying, well, you know, you can't be kind of middle of the road with your tactics. You know, you can't like harass and then just say attack. But the thing is that, you know, some people would see that as well. But he's harassing and then he's attacking. It's all the same thing, right? Well, no, because if you're harassing with Zealot Warp Prism drops, you're making job doubly hard for you. You have to do double the damage you would need to do because of those two nexus there. So it's almost a hindrance to you because you're not able to almost ever produce as much income as your opponent is, despite getting that damage done a little bit.
Every Zealot you warp into harass is another Zealot that's not in your main army. And if you kill just probes, then you have a smaller army, and he has a smaller economy. That's the trade-off ReaL's going for. Socke, though, played that by the book straight up so well, and this means that Socke is one game away from being into that top 8 spot and bumping down Hasuabs.
Good luck, Germany champion. Okay, so let's get into game number 2, guys, here. Spawning up to the top right-hand corner as our Red Protoss. Currently 1 game up. Give it up for ATN Socke.
And down in the bottom left, the Korean player who's been living in Germany specifically for this EPS. It is ReaL. We did see ReaL do the 1-gate blink play on this map. I like that quite a lot. It's a good way to just get in your opponent's face right away and find out what he's doing. Sometimes you kill him, but most of the time you just see what's up and can adjust properly.
I think also if there were, I mean, there's 2 maps for me right now in PvP that really say, you know, if you're ever going to see expansions like proper expansions, properly defendable expansions, 2 of those maps are really, you know, Daybreak and Ohana, for example. I really do like the architecture of the naturals. Daybreak's a little more difficult to pull off because of the fact that the ramps are so far away from you. And again, you know, warp gate potential does end up just negating a lot of that big rush distance. But we see Socke a lot of the times actually going for very, very quick expansions on this map. And again, that immortal expansion play for PvP is so common on a map like this because of the way in which it just lines up and works so nicely.
I truly do like all those defensive plays on this map. Blink obviously works nicely due to the incredible distances, but often what happens is if you over blink, you sabotage your late game, and the opponent will see this and go, oh, all right, and then just expand and not attack, and expand to that 3rd and not attack, and then when it's maxed army time, it's the perfect Speed Zealot Archon Colossus composition for the defensive player. And then this low Colossus, low Archon, low Zealot count from the opponent with a whole bunch of Blink Stalkers that die so fast.
And that's, I love that you bring up Speed Zealot because I have a real soft spot for Speed Zealots in this matchup.
Best unit in the game, man.
They are so fantastic, and again, especially if your opponent overcommits to Immortals, they're like, oh, well, you're going Blink Stalkers. I need so many Immortals to be able to deal with that, and then all of a sudden you haven't scouted out the fact that they've got an abundance of Zealots with charge. They just run up against those Immortals like, hey, I ain't no thing, and just demolish them. So that is very, very cool. I like that.
Chrono Boost for ReaL. Actually, ReaL is absolutely forced to use this Chrono Boost. He might, I personally think he must spend a second Chrono Boost on this. If he doesn't, this is more of him saying, yeah, I know Socke, he doesn't really do that sort of stuff. This is as risky can be. This is super risky. And, well, looks like it's going to be Stargate versus Stargate. Again, Phoenix is something that I like quite a bit on this map. Socke is doing the stable, safe way of opening up. He's going Zealot, Sentry, Zealot, Sentry. We see the Zealot now weirdly rallied. And there, you see the Sentry coming up. This is the stable form. This is the mega risky, unstable form for ReaL. ReaL is just praying that his opponent doesn't do any aggression, because you just die outright with this play.
Well, this Stargate versus Stargate in PvP gets into the realms of silliness, is what I'm going to call it, because you have this situation where both players are just trying to gather Phoenix as quickly as possible. Although that being said, actually, oh no, there we go. He starts his Phoenix production right now, does ReaL. But as soon as somebody stops, like, or doesn't Chrono Boost once over their opponent, or doesn't make one extra Phoenix, they pretty much just die. It's so difficult to make it work against like 6 Phoenix to 5 Phoenix. Micro is so hard to make work with them because of their range and things like that.
This is the riskiest thing ever. Phoenix expand, 1 gate, 1 Stargate. Oh my God.
I mean, if he'd have scouted out the fact that his opponent's gone Phoenix, then I don't mind it too much.
Yeah,
but he doesn't have a clue.
He does have this defensive Stalker, so right now he saw Zealot, Zealot, Sentry, Sentry. That's really going to be a Robo or Phoenix play. So that is a nice read by him, but ReaL's going to have to be very careful.
Oh, this third Phoenix is going to pop in just a second. Socke needs to be very, very careful here. There's going to be 3 Phoenix to 2 Phoenix, but actually ReaL not reacting in time there and will not be able... Oh, he will be able to chase this one down, so this Phoenix is guaranteed to die. And right now, Socke needs to do something different, I feel. It's so hard to make this work. Once you lose 1 Phoenix, and he's going to lose a second potentially. But actually, ReaL loses another as well. He could have quite easily pulled that one back.
Quite a blunder there, exchanging those Phoenixes. In Socke's position, what a lot of players do is just build a second Stargate. They try to super win on air. I mean, think about it. What is your opponent really going to do? Build Stalkers off this 1, maybe 2 gateways and start raining down from the skies. And ReaL is in a nice position as long as he just starts Chrono Boosting his probes up and Chrono Boosting out Immortals.
Yeah, I'm curious. There we go. The Immortals are in production here for now. Right now it's 4 Phoenix to 4 Phoenix. So both players losing 1 and the other one not really. I mean, the problem for Socke, I guess, here is that one of his is extremely weak, but he's going to probably try and keep it with his main army here to have that little extra DPS from those Sentries and Stalkers if those Phoenix actually want to dive in. But at the same time, those Phoenix get spotted by that pylon. I think he may have wanted to go and do some aggression up at his opponent's base, but again, it's so risky to do, just in case your opponent's Phoenix are positioned well.
Both doing a nice little dance around the center of the map. Socke trying to get his positioning in order. Socke is just going to go for the 4-gate follow-up, and very, very common play, which is, again, why I'm so scared for ReaL in this spot. He has a small amount of units. He should actually wall off with some buildings to deflect against this attack.
Yeah, you're completely right. I mean, a lot of the gas that he's used here is sank into those Phoenix, so chances are a lot of his main composition is just going to be Zealots. If you can negate the amount of surface area Zealots are getting on your composition by having those buildings, like you rightly said there, it can be so, so useful, especially if you're warping in things, creating things like Immortals and Stalkers.
Here comes Socke. It's going to be an all-micro push. Guardian Shield goes down. That is the immediate target. Phoenix is now dancing around each other. Can't really afford to lift anything. ReaL accidentally leaves his Phoenix behind. Socke is doing an excellent job clustering his up. But Socke has far the superior ground force, is now charging forward with all of his Zealots. The Phoenixes from Socke kill off everything. The lift on the Immortal. And after a very cleanly executed counter swing, Socke is going to get himself a nice 2-0.
Socke even ripping up probes here as well now. That lovely force field to be able to block those probes off in the retreat. And right now, what can ReaL make to be able to come back to this? Not too much. Just going to be able to march up into the main. So many probes dying once again. Right now, 24 probes to 24 probes, but that's going to be rapidly decreasing here for ReaL in just a second. Despite what we said about ReaL's phenomenal performances during EPS against the likes of Socke and Hasuobs, it seems that Socke able to just kind of push it out here in this tournament setting. Very, very nicely executed. GG!
Socke manages to land his top 8 position qualify for the BenQ Finals.
So congratulations to Socke then, as he will be moving on. Berlin event is indeed the BenQ Finals, and you know, the EPS is a really, really nice thing to not only be able to cast, but just have in Germany in general. It gives a lot of those German players really, really strong sustainability in their careers because, again, there's so much prize pool in these weekly tournaments during those seasons, not to mention the prize pool that's available at that final.
And, I mean, what's even cooler to me is that this isn't the last game of the night for EPS. We have the finals of this 6th stop in the EPS circuit, where it will be the two teammates, ESC GoOdy going versus ESC Daisy, both of whom are already qualified, already very high in the rankings. But I wanted to just come back to that PvP a little bit with that Phoenix versus Phoenix play. There's this weird problem with Phoenixes where to deal with them, you either need more Phoenixes or a lot of Stalkers. And the reason for that is obviously more Phoenixes beats less Phoenixes, but the more important thing is what your opponent's doing other than building air units. If he's overcommitting to Phoenix, then he's going to have Zealots primarily on the ground and maybe some Stalkers. So if you win that air battle, you can lift up with your Phoenixes. Likewise, if you have a lot of Blink Stalkers, then you can have the ground dominance, lose to a couple of lists from your opponent, but be generally all right with micro. The problem comes when you have like half and half, where you're kind of getting some Phoenixes, kind of getting some, because then he kills off your Phoenixes and then he lifts your small number of Stalkers and you lose to the Zealots on the ground. So it's a very tough decision for Daisy after he takes the expand, because he either has to commit all the way to Phoenix or he has to commit all the way to gateway units, but he just doesn't have a second Stargate and he doesn't have 4 gateways.
And it's really important that you say you need a lot of Stalkers, because the Stalkers, the Phoenix actually have a really, really effective amount of health and shields for their cost. So if you've only got a few Stalkers, they're not only are they not doing bonus damage to them because Phoenix are light, but also they just have like 250 health for that 150 gas cost, which is really, really sick.
It's actually 1 resource per hit point. That's basically how to describe a Phoenix. So let's go ahead and throw it up to the main stage with Jarrett for an interview with our winner.
I'm here with our winner, Socke. From the team alternate, I'm sure they'd appreciate that. How do you feel right now, qualified for the playoffs?
Yeah, I'm very happy. I think I was very worried about the 3rd place match because ReaL is a very good player. Luckily for me, he didn't seem to have his best day today, and yeah, I'm just very happy that I made it.
Anything that you would like to say to the Germanic peoples?
To the audience, or?
To all of your fans in the world, man.
Yeah, just thanks in general for everybody who supports me and esports. It's lots of fun.
Good job. And we will be back shortly with the finals. Don't go away.